Home, it's supposed to be the safest place in the world, a place where your shoulders relax the moment you walk in, where your voice feels welcome, where your heart doesn't have to hide. But for some people, home never felt like that. It wasn't loud, it wasn't violent, it didn't look broken from the outside. In fact, to others, it looked completely normal. And that's what made it confusing, because nothing was obviously wrong, yet something never felt right. You remember sitting in the corner of your room sometimes, not crying, not playing, just sitting, listening, feeling, trying to understand something you couldn't quite name. The house was quiet, but not the peaceful kind of quiet. It was the kind of silence that felt heavy, like something was always about to go wrong, even when nothing did. At dinner, everyone sat together, but no one really connected. Words were exchanged, but feelings were not. You learned early that certain things were better left unsaid, so you didn't say them. You watched instead, carefully. You paid attention to tone, expressions, small changes in mood. You became good at reading people, not because you wanted to, but because you had to, because somehow you felt responsible for keeping things calm, even as a child. You learned to be the easy one, the quiet one, the one who doesn't cause trouble. You didn't ask for too much, you didn't express too much, you didn't feel too much, at least not outwardly. Because every time you tried, it felt like your emotions were too much for the room, too inconvenient, too unnecessary. So slowly, you started shrinking parts of yourself. Not all at once, but little by little. You stopped sharing what upset you. You stopped expecting comfort. You stopped believing someone would notice. And over time, you became someone who looks fine on the outside, but feels everything on the inside. No one tells you when this change happens. There's no moment where everything suddenly breaks. It's quieter than that. It's subtle. It's the moment you decide, I'll handle it myself. It's the moment you feel something deeply and choose not to say it. It's the moment you realize no one is coming to understand you. So you stop waiting. And that's when something shifts. Home is no longer where you feel safe. It becomes a place where you feel careful. This is what psychologists call emotional unsafety, and it's one of the most invisible forms of childhood experience, because from the outside, everything can look perfectly fine. There may be no shouting, no obvious conflict, no clear trauma, but inside, a child feels alone. Not physically, but emotionally. And when a child feels that their emotions are not seen, not heard, or not understood, their brain adapts. It learns, my feelings don't matter. So instead of expressing, they start suppressing. This isn't weakness, this is survival. The brain is incredibly intelligent. It does whatever it needs to do to keep you safe. If expressing yourself doesn't feel safe, you stop expressing. If being visible doesn't feel safe, you become invisible. If asking for help doesn't work, you stop asking. And over time, this becomes your personality. But it never was who you truly were. It was who you had to become. Years pass. You grow up. You leave that house. You build a life. But something still feels off. You can't always explain it, but it shows up in small, quiet ways. You overthink conversations. You replay things you said hours ago. You worry if you upset someone, even when you didn't. You feel uncomfortable opening up, even to people who genuinely care about you. You crave connection, but at the same time, it scares you, because somewhere deep inside, connection doesn't feel safe. This is the echo of your childhood. Not the events, but the feeling. Because the body remembers what the mind tries to forget. That quiet tension, that emotional distance, that feeling of being unseen, it stays, and it follows you into adulthood, into relationships, into friendships, into the way you see yourself. And sometimes You don't feel like an adult at all. You feel like that same child, sitting quietly, trying to understand, trying not to be too much, trying to be enough, always wondering, why do I feel this way? But here's something important, something you may have never been told. It was never your fault. You were not too sensitive. You were not too emotional. You were not too much. You were a child in an environment that didn't know how to hold your emotions, and instead of being supported, you adapted. You survived. And now you have something powerful, awareness. Because once you understand where this feeling comes from, you can start changing your relationship with it. You can start listening to yourself. You can start giving yourself the safety you didn't have. Slowly, gently, patiently. Safety isn't just a place, it's a feeling. And feelings can be rebuilt in small ways, like allowing yourself to feel without judgment, like speaking your thoughts even if your voice shakes, like reminding yourself you are allowed to exist as you are. And maybe one day, home won't be a place that brings discomfort. Maybe it won't be tied to the past at all. Maybe home will be something you create within yourself, a place where your thoughts are welcome, your feelings are valid, your presence is enough. And when that day comes, you won't have to walk on eggshells anymore. You won't have to shrink yourself. You won't have to hide, because finally you'll feel safe, not because the world changed, but because you did. And maybe, for the first time, home will finally feel like home. If this felt like your story, you're not alone.